In Docherty's exploration of postmodernism/postmarxism, he delves into the evolution of critical theory, juxtaposing the modernist philosophical frameworks with the post-structuralist paradigms. At the heart of his discourse lies a critique of the grand narratives of modernity, particularly those rooted in Enlightenment rationality and Marxism. Docherty advocates for a shift towards a postmodern understanding of history, textuality, and interpretation, emphasizing the need to contextualize narratives within their historical and socio-political frameworks. Central to Docherty's argument is the contrast between modernist and postmodernist hermeneutics. While modernist critique aims at demystification and the uncovering of truth through a static ahistorical lens, postmodernism embraces historicization, viewing texts as dynamic sites of temporal change and contestation. This shift from spatial to temporal interpretation reflects a broader rejection of grand narratives in favor of fragmented contingent understandings of reality. In Docherty's view, postmodernism prioritizes simulation and parody over mimesis and adequacy. This emphasis on the fluidity of meaning challenges traditional notions of truth and representation, opening up spaces for competing narratives and interpretations. Consequently, the authority to construct these narratives becomes a focal point of inquiry, with intellectual agents engaging in a multiplicity of perspectives and contestations. Docherty argues that post-Marxism represents a departure from traditional Marxist discourse, moving away from deterministic historical teleologies towards a more fluid inter-theoretical approach. Rather than seeking to engineer social change through party politics, post-Marxist intellectuals engage in theoretical projects that intersect with diverse ideological frameworks, fostering dialogue and critique at the interface of competing systems of thought. In Docherty's vision, post-Marxism embodies a transgressive mode of critique, eschewing nostalgia for the past in favor of a proactive engagement with the possibilities of the future. This entails a rejection of static totalizing conceptions of truth, and an embrace of the contingent, provisional nature of knowledge production. Intellectuals, in this context, are tasked with navigating the complexities of postmodern and post-Marxist thought, operating at the boundaries of ideological systems to forge new modes of understanding and action. Docherty's exploration traverses a diverse cultural landscape, embracing various forms of artistic expression to illuminate the contours of postmodernism. Through a nuanced aesthetic lens, he examines the evolution of postmodern thought, drawing connections between painting, sculpture, architecture, dance, film, and music. By delving into the works of artists like Joseph Beuys, Anthony Caro, and movements such as those represented by the Centre Pompidou, Docherty elucidates the underlying themes of postmodernism, encapsulated in categories like seduction, transgression, orality, and flight. Central to Docherty's analysis is the notion of a shift from specularity to orality, as the dominant mode of perception in the postmodern era. This transition reflects a broader cultural transformation wherein voices, sounds, and their images intertwine in a complex intertextual network. Docherty dissects this network through meticulous examinations of literary works like The Waste Land, Titus Andronicus, and Hamlet, as well as musical compositions, such as Stravinsky's Le Rossignol. By weaving together disparate cultural artifacts, Docherty mirrors the seriality of postmodern culture, where historical simulacra converge without regard for linear chronology, creating anachronistic juxtapositions that challenge established ideological and theoretical systems. Despite his textual pyrotechnics, Docherty remains rooted in ideological critique, perpetuating the process of demystification inherent to post-structuralist thought. His analyses operate at the interface of competing ideologies, interrogating prevailing notions of truth, representation, and power. Docherty's critique extends to contemporary political and cultural phenomena, as evidenced by his examination of Robert Lowell's For the Union Dead. By contextualizing Lowell's poetry within the broader socio-political landscape of the Cold War era, Docherty exposes the underlying tensions between imperialism, nationalism, and cultural identity. Docherty's treatment of Lowell's work serves as a poignant critique of American exceptionalism and its complicity in global power dynamics. Through his analysis, Docherty unveils the hidden ideological underpinnings of cultural production, challenging readers to confront the complexities of identity, history, and power. In doing so, Docherty underscores the transformative potential of postmodernism, which disrupts conventional narratives and offers alternative modes of interpretation and understanding. At the heart of Docherty's reflection lies a tension between nostalgia for a utopian future and a recognition of the contingent, non-linear nature of historical progress. He grapples with the complexities of navigating a postmodern world, where traditional hierarchies and certainties give way to fluidity, multiplicity, and ambiguity. Docherty's analysis serves as a call to embrace the challenges and possibilities of postmodernism, urging readers to engage critically with the cultural and political landscapes of the contemporary moment. Docherty's critical discourse is deeply embedded in a contemporary context, responding to the pervasive influence of media simulation and the erosion of traditional notions of reality. He acknowledges the transformative power of technology-driven simulation, heralding it as a defining feature of postmodern society. Docherty's embrace of this phenomenon underscores his commitment to understanding and engaging with the complexities of contemporary culture. However, his uncritical enthusiasm for simulation, particularly its entanglement with capitalist interests, raises questions about the depth of his analysis and the implications for his political agenda. At the core of Docherty's critique is a rejection of grand narratives and a refusal to adhere to fixed historical frameworks. He aligns himself with Habermas in conceptualizing modernity as a dynamic cultural consciousness that emerges at various historical junctures. Docherty extends this notion by asserting that postmodernism exists as a latent possibility within every moment of self-aware modernity. While this perspective allows him to identify precursors of postmodern thought across different historical periods, it also risks flattening historical difference and overlooking the specific socio-political contexts that shape cultural production. Docherty's postmodern hermeneutic, characterized by parodic simulation and intricate intertextual connections, walks a fine line between erasing historical specificity and proliferating subjective interpretations. This raises concerns about the possibility of meaningful communication and collective action, grounded in shared social realities. Moreover, Docherty's focus on elite cultural works and his neglect of popular forms of media limit the scope of his analysis, obscuring the broader social and institutional dynamics that shape cultural consumption and reception. While Docherty champions the role of intellectuals in critiquing dominant ideologies and envisioning alternative futures, his conception of social agency remains under-theorized. Despite his skepticism towards traditional forms of political engagement, Docherty's emphasis on the mere act of thinking risks neglecting the institutional conditions that shape intellectual production and dissemination. Furthermore, his narrowed focus on aesthetic aspects of postmodernism, coupled with an incomplete engagement with ideological determinations like patriarchy and American imperialism, presents an impoverished understanding of the contemporary moment. In sum, Docherty's critical discourse navigates the complexities of postmodern culture, while grappling with the challenges of ideological critique and political engagement. While his analysis offers valuable insights into the shifting terrain of contemporary thought, it also raises important questions about the limitations of his approach and the need for a more comprehensive understanding of the socio-political forces at play. Moving forward, Docherty and scholars like him must strive to bridge the gap between theoretical abstraction and concrete social realities, fostering a more inclusive and politically engaged discourse that reflects the diverse voices and experiences of contemporary society.